Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chad with CD Shave, and thank you very much for joining me for today's face shave and product profiling. Before we get into that, let's get into the holiday of the day. Today's holiday of the day is National Nutty Fudge Day. That's right. Something about that. I like fudge, I do. I don't like nuts in it. And there's something about fudge being a little nutty. It's just, well, it opens up a whole gamut of jokes and smart remarks to be thrown in there. So I'll just leave that one with you. Anyway, happy National Nutty Fudge Day. All right, moving on to the holiday, from the holiday of the day into the soap. And today's soap profiling is Diamond by Barrister and Mann. Right there. It is, was a limited release. It's not really available anymore. This is more of a profiling for Barrister and Mann rather than it is about the soap itself. There's what it looks like. If you can, I've seen it here and there on a couple of sites. Randomly, they've got a few pucks left. If you do see it, I'd recommend picking it up, especially in there because this is in their Excelsior base, which is their prominent base, and that's what they're well known for, and it's a very good base. Anyway, as far as the scent is concerned, it's rather heavy. I'd say off the puck, it goes for, I'd say it's probably about a 7. Which is pretty strong as far as I'm concerned. The first thing I get out of this is fresh cut grass. It's got, the notes are fresh cut grass, stadium soil, beer, leather, pine, cedar, popcorn, and caramel. Anyway, that's the scent and in a nutshell. And again, it is in the Excelsior base for Barrister and Mann, which is a base that they are well known for. It's kind of a high performance base. It works really well. I've used it in several other soaps to include Nordost, Barrister Mann's Cool, and a couple other ones. So I definitely would try Barrister and Mann if you haven't already, just for that base. It's a really, really nice base. Takes a lot of water, but you know, once you get to that point, it works really well. All right, let's talk about the rest of the gear, shall we? Eric Johnson, EB Latheworks, first generation Boss Knot, synthetic brush. We're going to be going with that. As far as the shave is concerned, I'm going to be bowl lathering. Been bowl lathering a lot lately. It seems to work well for me. I don't have to worry about my soaps drying out afterwards. I can just cover them back up and put them away. And I've been experimenting with that in terms of being able to add more or less water, just make the lather become more voluminous, I believe is how you say that. English is not my first language. Anyway, so moving on to the shave or rest of the gear, we're going with wedge. Straight. This is definitely a true wedge on this as far as I'm concerned. It is I always mess this up, Connoisseur, I believe is how you say that. Right there. Those of you that know how to say that, please correct me if you feel like it. If not, and you don't know, that's fine too. This is an older vintage style razor. It's an excellent shape that was gifted to me a while back, and works very, very well. Thank you, Mr. Jason Lonzetta, for that. So, all right, so that is our gear. You know what I did forget to mention? The good old Jack Daniel's Thayer's Witch Hazel. We're going to be using this as we always do in our shave towards the end. So we've got all the gear laid out, ready to go. We're going to get this soap lathered and get everything set. So in the meantime, why don't we do that? You can watch this.
George Herman Ruth's Baseball Hall of Fame acceptance speech was heard by millions that day on June 12, 1939. The man was a legend in Red Sox baseball history, and also what many to believe to be the very pinnacle of a prominent curse that plagued the Boston Red Sox for decades. This is a limited edition shave soap and was released to pay homage to this very event. With scent notes of fresh-cut grass, stadium soil, leather, pine, cedar, popcorn, and caramel, this soap is intended to take you right to the stands watching one of America's most famous pastimes. When this soap was released, it was almost immediately a hit, with a Shave of the Day post being put on every social media site across the internet. This is a shave soap that's not necessarily intended to make you smell great on your first date or impress your spouse the night of your anniversary, unless, of course, fresh-cut grass makes your spouse all hot under the collar. It's intended, though, to invoke memories to make you feel good, maybe on that weekend morning as you shave right before stepping outside to run errands for the day. With the Excelsior base that Barrister and Mann is most famous for driving the scent, the great shave combined with wonderful memories make this a shave soap that most of us would be able to appreciate. This is one of those examples that a good shave is not just about smelling good, but also about the experience.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are completely lathered, ready to go. There's the bowl full of lather. We get our yogurt consistency, plenty of peaks. Thing is really nice and dense. Let's get this shave happening. So Barrister and Mann has been around for quite some time. Or at least as long as I've been in the wet shaving industry. And I've reviewed quite a few of their soaps with very, very little complaints. Base-wise. Yeah, I'll throw a little bit more on here. Now I realize scents are very, very subjective and they're not for everybody. I understand that, which is why I do the best that I can to describe them. Base, as far as I'm concerned, if you're getting into wet shaving and you want to try a soap that's a good base, good value for your money, they are a little bit on the higher end for price-wise. I mean, compared to places like Razor Rock and so on and so forth. But you can't go wrong with the performance on this soap. Even if it's a scent that you're not overly crazy about, which I've run into with Barrister and Mann for sure. The slickness is really, really incredibly high. And I've been using them actually pretty much since day one. A while ago, they used to have a line called Lather, where they had, one of them was Oceana Lather. And it was a scent that was obviously had a lot of oceanic notes to it. Burned me a little bit. Because I can be sensitive to those. But man, the base was even then was really, really nice. For me, it was. Some people will say, oh, that was nothing compared to what they have now. Maybe. But the thing is, one of the things that really sells me, or has sold me in the past with Barrister and Mann, is customer service. I don't care how good your base is. I really, really don't. If your customer service, like just getting your product, is a horrible experience, I won't spend the money. There are plenty of other things out there that have nice bases, great scents, that as an artisan, or as a customer rather, if you tick me off, I won't come back. And I'm not one of those people who picks a fight either. I will just quietly, unless it's something where I was, screwed out of money, I will quietly move about and just not buy from you again. As far as I'm concerned, good customer service includes having an up-to-date website, if you have a website. You don't have a website, then you don't. It's not a knock against you. It just, if you have one, make sure it's up to date. Return your emails. Very important. And you don't always have to take the position that the customer's always right, but at least entertain their position. So that's my advice from there anyway. So all right, so the first shave was fantastic. Our first pass was fantastic. Went through, got most of this hair off. I'm looking forward to the rest of this shave. We're going to go ahead and do that. In the meantime, we'll get this all done, and you guys can see me in the post. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you very much for staying with us right into the post-shave here. We're just finishing up, cleaning up. All our passes are great. A little bit of the witch hazel. A little bit up on the dome. We're done with that. Also have the aftershave matching that to go into play there, but let's just give that a second for the witch hazel to sit into place, and let's talk about the scent. So the scent stayed strong throughout the entire shave on this one, as I found to be the case with most of Barrister and Mann's. Is the scent didn't really change much. The profile, I kept getting the fresh cut grass throughout the entire thing. Scent is subjective, and I understand that. Plus, this one is a limited release, so you may not be able to get your hands on it. I would try any one of their other things. Usually in a profile, I try to stick to what it is, but Barrister and Mann, you just can't get away from the fact that they have a great base. One of the things I really like about their base is that it maintains hydration. It's good for a newbie, especially, where it is a higher price than something you're going to get at, say, Razor Rock. It maintains its hydration, and let's face it, most of us who start off doing our shaves take a long time to do. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I like to take my time with shaves, so my shaves take longer anyway. Because of that, I like a soap that maintains its hydration. I don't want to look down at the bowl and see the top of it all dried out before I finish my shave. That is not something that speaks to me as far as having a good soap is concerned. Aftershave. Caramel corn. That's what I get off of this. I do not get any fresh cut grass. Mostly caramel corn. That's exactly what I get out of this. So if that's something that you like, which I happen to, it brings back memories for me. Wow, that's interesting, because I put on the aftershave caramel corn initially, but then that fades out and there's that fresh cut grass again. Yeah, this thing brings back memories for me, especially as a kid. My mother used to make caramel corn. That was one of her things that she was famous for within the family. And I understand this is a baseball type of scent, but that's what this does for me. It brings me back to when I was a kid. Not just, it brings me back to when my dad used to cut the grass out in the backyard. My mother making caramel corn. So even though not necessarily a baseball memory, that's where I go with this. However, if you ever attended a baseball game, especially a professional one, that, in my opinion, will also take you to that place. So anyway, that is the shave, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for staying with me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed but wish to do so, make sure you knock that bell. That way you get a notification every time we do a new video here at CD Shaving. Folks, I am Chad. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you guys and girls in the next video.